I really strongly believe I can have $1 million a year agency with only 10 clients. You know, I've got a social media manager who like is living her best life over in Australia doing van life. You know, like the money that they're making from this is really changing their life.
It is basically getting paid to learn skills. That's what you're doing. You're literally getting paid to like learn things. Like you're getting paid to learn marketing while doing it for people.
The reason I'm not making $1 million yet is because I'm not the man who like God would entrust with that level of resource.
Yo, Peter, what's up, my guy?
What is going on, stud?
We just saw each other in Scottsdale, Arizona, coming out to the collective event. Didn't realize you were like 6 foot, what, 3, 4?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've kept track since like 6'1". At that point, I was like, okay, I'm tall enough. Like now it's just hard to find pants.
Yeah, bro. You can't find a good pair of jeans. I literally haven't bought a pair of jeans in like 2 years. But anyways, guys, Peter is freaking crushing it. Dude, Peter, I want to give a little bit of backstory, like how we met, I think.
Let's see if maybe you can right.
Yeah, and then maybe you can like chime in here and correct me when I'm wrong. So the way, at least from my end, here's what it seemed like was, yeah, I think you were following for a while. I think you had actually bought someone else's program, and then you kind of like maybe, I don't know, learned some stuff from there, but didn't end up launching an actual consulting or coaching offer. And then you'd been following my stuff for a while. I think you had seen that I went from agency to coaching, and you were like, that's interesting. And then eventually you called me on like I think it was like a Saturday or Sunday, and we like literally just chatted over the phone. You were like, yeah, just let's do it. I was like, all right. So got you in, started coaching I think we were one-on-one. And then for the first like month or so, maybe even like month and a half, not much. I feel like you didn't really like take much action on the consulting side. You were still trying to scale the agency side, of course, but like you didn't really do much on the consulting side until, I don't know if we had like, there was one call where I was like, dude, go all in on just the consulting. And that's kind of what you went all in on. And now you have like a 6-figure a year, strictly consulting business, done for you. Did I get the story right? Does that sound about right?
Yeah, that's pretty close. So there's one like crucial part that I think is really important to mention. So we have a mutual friend. His name's Joey Spears. And that was the initial connection I made with you, because you were on their podcast quite a while ago. I've been on their podcast a couple times. I went through their program, got a ton out of it. But as I pivoted into when I initially started my agency, kind of moving out of just the videography space, that was when I went, okay, I need something a little bit more niche to agencies. So I'd been following you for a while. You were doing a content agency, and you were way ahead of me at the time. I was doing maybe like 15K a month. You were probably at 50 or so in your agency.
Yeah.
And so I'm just seeing you crush it with the agency, not knowing all the headache that was going on behind the scenes. So I think that just led me to the point where, in, I want to say like July of this year, I just hit you up. I was like, dude, how much does your program cost? Like, I need help. And that's where we started.
Yeah, dude. And by the way, I was not talking about Joey's program in terms of not getting results. Joey, I'm actually seeing Joey this weekend. He's like an amazing person.
Yeah.
But anyways, okay. So you came to me did you initially come to me or sign up thinking I'm going to scale the agency, or did you initially sign up thinking I'm going to launch a consulting offer?
So my initial thought was I want to scale the agency to like 30 or 40K and then launch a coaching offer off of that.
Okay. And then what sort of like, and we'll get into the story and stuff too, but like, what do you think changed because obviously I know you didn't scale the agency to 30, 40K. You were like, nah, consulting is going to happen now. Why did you decide to do it now versus like waiting, like you said?
Well, I spent like the first 6 or 8 weeks, like you said, in the program. I spent the first little bit just like not making any progress. And I was like doing stuff, like I was taking action on stuff. It just wasn't working. And so what I kind of realized was the type of clients I want in my agency are much higher ticket, much more expensive. And it's going to take time to nurture that type of audience for the agency. So I was like, okay, like I haven't been like fully listening to Grayson. I've been listening to him like 60 or 70%. for the past like 8 weeks. I'm just going to listen to him 100% and see what happens. Like, obviously this isn't working now, so I need to do something a little bit different. So I did. I launched a couple ads for the consulting program. I think within 3 or 4 weeks of launching my launching ads, I was starting to get sales calls with like ideal clients. And yeah, now like you said, I'm on a 6-figure run rate over the next 12 months.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
very
I want to
like
touch
growing
on
quickly.
I want to touch on one part that's
Yeah.
I think is like, dude, like so important is that so many people join programs. And of course, a lot of times it has a lot to do with like the program and like even if the content is really good, there still has to be a sense of like accountability and like how do you, like what's the actual roadmap to make it happen, no matter how good the information is, right? Like the actual execution of the information matters a lot. And I think so many people join programs and just don't fully believe. And if you don't believe that it's going to work for you, you don't do it, right? Like if you didn't believe you could launch a coaching offer or consulting and go all in on that and not do any service delivery, then you wouldn't have done it. And then second of all, you wouldn't have actually implemented it at all. What, like you said, like eventually I was just like, I'm just going to listen to him. What changed in your mind to be like, I'm going to actually do it now instead of just like kind of like doing enough, but not to the point where it actually would get me results?
Yeah, I think the thing that inspired me to take action, like you said, it wasn't the content, even though the content's good. Frankly, it wasn't even the accountability, because I already had the accountability for 8 weeks of having Zoom calls with you one-on-one. So I think the thing that really inspired me to like finally like go all in and like fully follow the blueprint was more along the lines of just like inspiration and seeing the vision that you were setting. Right? Because the way you're building your business is the exact way you're coaching us to build our businesses. And so I can simply look at what's the name now? Valuecreator.io.
Hey, we're not exposing the name yet.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry. So I can so I can look at the Grayson Lupus brand and I can see sorry, I threw myself off there.
Oh man, bro, when Scott said my guy's just like out there selling domain names now. Oh, that shit was so
I
funny.
know.
I got like 10 domain names I can just sling around now.
I
Oh
know.
man. All
Okay.
right.
Let me pick
Sorry.
up.
Intermittent break. Yeah.
So I can look at the Grayson Lupus brand and I can go, okay, this is where I could be in 6 to 12 months from now. Like I can see the trajectory that like how fast you've grown. I can see you're handing us all the tools, all the lessons you're learning as you go. And I can even see like there's a couple things I've noticed where it like you haven't like completely done a 180 on anything, but like you kind of change your tune on certain stuff, right? And that's not because you like don't know what you're talking about or you were lying to us before. It's just like you've learned the lesson the hard way and now you're kind of giving us the lesson a little bit the easier way.
Yeah, and I think that is where coaching is really valuable, especially from someone who's not like it wouldn't make sense for either of us to be coached by a billionaire because there's so many steps ahead of us, but someone who is just where you were and can just help you, 2 or 3 steps ahead of where you were, just say, hey, here's what worked, here's what didn't, here you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so you finally were like, all right, I can see that the Grayson Lupus brand decided to pivot and do this, right? I think just kind of like by that, do you mean just the way that I was building it, like the way that I structured it? Do you mean the way that like I live my life outside of business? Like, what do you mean by that?
I think it's an all of the above for me. That was one of the reasons I decided you were the guy I needed to go to for mentorship rather than any of the many other coaches who coach coaches out there. One of the reasons was like I just look at the life that you're building and the business you're building around that life you're building, and I go like, yeah, that like aligns more or less with what I'm trying to get out of my life. You're not building
Yeah.
something where you're trying to bro scale to the moon. You're trying to build something where you make a ton of money, but also you're not working insane hours and you really are passionate and really loving what you're doing. And that's exactly what I'm looking for too.
Yeah. And same thing goes for your clients. Like if you can't lead yourself, you can't lead other people.
Right.
Right. So it's like if you're not living a life worth living, then why would you be able to coach somebody else on it? Um, and I think that speaks a lot to your clients too. Like the people that you're coaching is like, there's like this trickle down effect of like someone who's mentoring me, someone who mentored them, and someone who mentored them. And now it's kind of all being passed down, which I think is super cool. Okay, let's go back a little bit and figure out like how did Peter end up having now a 100,000 a year, probably with pretty lean team, high margins business. And when you actually from the time you signed up your first consulting client to now, actually that period hasn't been too long. And so I'm sure that now you can see like how you're going to be able to scale probably quickly now that you have like a consistent way to get this going. But first, before we do that, let's go back. So what was like, what was the way that Peter thought now or previously before, when you're running your agency and you're probably like a year and a half ago, let's say 2 years ago, you're running an agency, you're maybe doing 10, 15K a month. I think you and I actually hopped on a sales call a long time ago.
We did.
But I didn't have anything to sell you. And so I was just like,
yeah,
yo, what's up, bro? And we just like had a chat and it was great. But what has changed in the way that you think from then to now? Like, do you think you've become a different person? Do you think things have changed a lot or not really? Or
yeah. So there's been kind of, I would say 3 phases in my like business journey. And that's just so far, right? Like I've only been working for like building my own business for like 3 years now. So I'm sure there's plenty more lessons to come. But when I first started out, I started out as like a freelance videographer. And so I was just doing anything and everything and just like I wasn't treating it like a business. Like I was just telling everybody I knew that, hey, I do freelance videography. And yeah, that was about it. Like there was no specific value prop other than, yeah, I'll make you a cool video. So then I got my first agency client. He started a podcast and some social content, and I was doing all of that for him. And I came to realize like, hey, I really like this, and I'm actually like pretty good at it. So I kind of cut out like slowly over time, just cut out every other part of my like former freelance videography business and rebranded into a content agency. So I scaled the content agency up to, I think I did 22K in like my best month. And the agency is down a little bit from there, but like right now it's just, I think it's at like 18K and it's just like almost completely on autopilot. So that's phase number 2 is building.
You've got
yeah, exactly. I'm building a team. I'm running ads. I'm like doing in-person networking. I've got an actual value prop based on like ROI that I'm going to bring the client rather than just, yeah, we'll make you a bunch of videos and we'll edit them for you. I've got a social media manager who like is living her best life over in Australia doing van life. Like I've got editors overseas who I can see are doing like, like the money that they're making from this is really changing their life. So I think that was where I kind of shifted from, like the self-employed mindset, quote unquote, to like the CEO mindset. Like I'm running a company, I'm building a team. My job is not to do the work, but to put the people in place who will do the work and to set the vision for them.
Yeah. And so most people who would run an agency at $22,000 a month would say, why don't I just keep doing this and make $50,000 a month? Why put the team in place and then set it on autopilot and not scale it?
So my, and this is a little bit of a peek behind the scenes at where I'm going in the next 12 months, but my ultimate vision for my business as a whole is, I don't want to close down the agency. I think the agency is actually a really great tool to inform the way I coach my clients, because the agency doing the service for a certain number of clients keeps me in the day-to-day grind of building people's businesses for them. Client acquisition, scaling your business through content and ads. And so the things that I'm learning in there are only going to accelerate my coaching clients and what I'm able to teach them. And the cool thing is they can feed into each other too, because if you go through my coaching program, if we scale you up to a certain amount of revenue, say we scale you from 10K to 50K a month in your tax or accounting firm, well, then the natural next step, you're going to be like, okay, I need to outsource some of this stuff I've been doing myself. And so maybe then you go hire the agency for a much higher ticket price on like a long-term retainer. So I guess
Okay,
to
so
answer your question fully, like the main reason why I put the agency on pause is because I think the coaching program, the consulting program, is a really great way to essentially create like really high ticket leads for 5 to 10K a month retainers in the agency, without going crazy on like trying to scale the agency's client acquisition. So it's basically free clients for my agency.
sweet, dude. Okay, so there's this sort of like model that I've been thinking about. I put it as a Loom video in the chat called The Game. I don't know if you watched it or not,
Yeah.
but sort of like the 3 levels to online business. And they're mostly the 3 levels as like a marketer. Like if you want to go through as like a marketer, here's the 3 phases you go from like I'm broke to making millions of dollars a year. And I think that you and I both are going through these phases kind of like in a similar way. And I want to hear your perspective on level 1, which is kind of like where you went from the agency to now you went to level 2, which is like the consulting offer that you have now. Level 1 is about like building a hyper niche following on Instagram or whatever you want to do and converting at a high rate. Like let's say you have 2,000 followers, you convert 5, 6 of those people on a high ticket offer, like you had with your content agency. And that's sort of like how you get from 0 to 6 figures a year, is building like a hyper niche following of a very specific avatar with a very specific offer that works for them, and just like working with 5 to 10 clients that love working with you. Is that sort of like follow the roadmap that you see yourself on?
Yeah, interestingly enough, I kind of feel like I'm still in level 1, even with the
Really?
consulting program. Yeah. And the reason for that is I built the agency entirely off of referrals. I ran ads, I posted content, but none of that actually generated me any clients. It was all through personal connections, in-person networking, and referrals from current clients. So building my consulting program right now, the consulting program itself is extremely niche. I work with CPAs and accountants and some financial advisors. So like the content that I'm creating, the ads that I'm running, it's an extraordinarily niche audience, and it's still relatively small, converting at a really high rate.
Okay, so do you think that someone could go start a hyper niche consulting business like this with 0 previous business experience? Or do you think they need business experience in order to do that?
That's a really good question.
Because I feel like the only reason that you're able to coach or consult these tax advisors and people is because you understand psychology and marketing at a deep level, and that's why you're able to do it. But like, I do think that a lot of people, like, do you think you had to build the agency before doing this, or could you have just done this?
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. When I started the agency, I knew nothing except for like videography, like filmmaking techniques. Like I was really good behind the camera, and I was like an okay editor. That was it. Like I had no knowledge of running paid ads. I had no knowledge of creating like engaging social content or brand messaging or any of this stuff. And it was only through doing it for those first couple of clients at the agency that I was really able to learn it. Like, frankly, I look back at like my sales pitch to these people, and like I have no idea why they signed on to pay me $5,000 a month for content. Like that's just like mind-boggling to me. Makes me wonder about them a little bit, actually.
Okay, so you launching the agency, you think that, I guess my sort of question is like, do you think that you could have started with this strictly consulting business from 0? Or do you think that you had to do the done for you before going to info-based offer?
I think I had to learn the skills somewhere, and the way to get paid to learn those skills was through the agency. If I wanted to go straight to a consulting model, I totally could have like taken on a few clients completely for free and been like, hey, like I'm working for free until we start getting results, and then I'm going to charge you money. I think that's a totally valid route I could have gone, but like I wasn't even aware of that business model yet at that point.
Bro, that is such a good phrase. Is like I always had like this, I don't know, the same idea in my head. I shouldn't have a framework for it, of like an agency is great. It's not great for cash flow. Like if you want to go live in Bali off of like $1,000 a month in profit, go start an agency and get the 10K a month, and you'll see what happens, that it's not that profitable. because you have
Oh
to have a
yeah.
team, there's service delivery, but like it is basically getting paid to learn skills. That's what you're
Hmm.
doing. You're literally getting paid to like learn things. Like you're getting paid to learn marketing while doing it for people, and you get to the opportunity to mess up a little bit, and like that's fine.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, no, people like put 10K a month for whatever. I don't know why we've picked 10K a month as like the gold standard for agencies, but it's like, I mean, at my profit margin, if I was making 10K a month in my agency, I'd be taking home like $3,500.
yeah, it's like
Like
go
that's
work a minimum
nothing.
wage job. Yeah.
I'll,
Like I was I had 45% margins in my agency,
Mhm.
and like our best month was like 60K in revenue. And at that point of revenue, I think I had like 30% margin. So like I'm taking home, like only a third of that after taxes. I'm taking home maybe like 12, 13K.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's like where most people never get to in an agency. And so like that's why I basically got paid to learn skills. I ended the agency with like a few, tens of thousands of dollars in my bank account, but not hundreds, right?
Hmm.
But now I have the opportunity to actually make money because I was paid to learn skills. So why do you say you feel like you're not in level 2 yet? Just for people watching, level 2 is taking your skills that you learned in that setting and actually building a hyper profitable business. That's still pretty niche. Like his is still pretty niche. It's working with tax advisors, accountants. Why do you say that you still think you're in level 1?
So I think to be clear, I think I'm probably in like level 1.5,
Okay.
is what I'd say.
Yeah.
Because I haven't like fully, I haven't fully dialed in my consulting offer in that like basically all I'm selling right now is just access to my brain versus like to get to the highly profitable, highly scalable thing. You want to have like course modules built out on the back end and client
Systems and
success, some systems, stuff that's going to minimize the amount of time you're spending one-on-one. Where right now I'm still in those one-on-one Slack channels with the clients a lot. I'm still on those one-on-one calls a lot. And so I'm using that as a resource to like build out the systems and the content to then like really scale this thing hard.
okay, cool. And so this is like yeah, this I would say this is like phase 1 of level 2, and then there's maybe phase 2 of level 2.
Mm,
Um but like level 2 is really about like building a strictly info business that, or at least like very minimal service delivery,
mm-hmm,
where you now have skills that you've learned that you can leverage and get paid a very high dollar per hour with a very lean team.
mm-hmm.
Like I'm sure like you're doing somewhere around 8K a month in revenue in the consulting business. And I'm guessing like all that is profit besides ad spend, right?
Yeah, because I'm already creating content as an agency owner. And so that all runs through the agency. So if I didn't have the agency, that would be another maybe $1,000 a month that I'm spending. But
Yeah,
again, that number doesn't go up with as the number of clients goes up, right?
exactly. Yeah. And so like the more money you make, the more clients you sign, the more profitable you actually be with this
Exactly.
killer. Okay, sweet dude. So what is sort of like I guess what is the vision for you in the short term, like the next 6 months ish, and then the longer term, like 4 to 5 years? What do you see yourself doing?
Yeah, so the short-term vision is number one, just fill out my inner circle of 30 one-on-one clients and start up my kind of like more community-based offer. I think especially in this space, like there's not a lot of community for high performers in accounting and like financial services.
Yeah.
And the few like communities that there are more like the in-person, like you meet at the town hall for like the networking event kind of thing, like very
Yeah.
boring, like just very like an awful experience that's full of people who are not high performers. um and so I think that like I think just the community aspect alone, there's huge potential with that, with what I'm doing. So I'd say that's like my short-term vision. Fill up the one-on-one, start building out a community-based offer. And then the long-term vision, I think, a big part of that is around completely reframing the agency. I really strongly believe I can have $1 million a year agency with only 10 clients. Um,
Kind of like
and
growth partner mode model.
exactly. So get out of the like content agency niche completely to where I'm still delivering a content service, but that's not all I'm delivering. And that's, it might not even be the main part of what I'm delivering. But ultimately just take the top tier coaching clients that go through my 16-week program and make that as an offer to them of, hey, here's like the next level of engagement on how we can work together. This is like a fully done for you service. So you can focus on your own service delivery and your own systems and your team and just, having more time back for yourself. So you're not managing your own editors. You're not managing your social media manager. You're not writing emails, all the stuff that goes along with that. So
yeah, so it's
that
a lot
I'd
like a
say,
growth partner and kind of like taking
exactly.
10% revenue share, but doing the done for you to help them scale.
Yeah, charge. So my vision is charge a flat rate plus a percentage, and I think that could easily get to $1 million with less than 10 clients.
Yeah, 100%. That's awesome. Killer, dude. So that's like, you said that's like the 5-year vision, or is that like the next year vision?
I mean, that's really like an 18 months kind of thing. So maybe that's more midterm, I'd say.
Yeah, dude. What do you think life-wise has changed for you outside of business? Obviously, like the people don't know, but you're getting married soon.
Yeah, 6 weeks.
What is like? Because for me, leading up to my wedding, bro, was like one of the like highest points of self-development, like just extremely fast-paced self-development happening. Like I didn't even know it was happening, but like I was almost forced to like become a better man. Outside of business, what do you feel like has changed in the last 6 months, or like is changing right now?
No, I can absolutely relate to that. I think my business has been a huge catalyst for personal development and personal growth. And that's second only to my relationship with my fiance in terms of like things that have created growth in my life. Because you if you own a business, you have a certain level of responsibility. If you have a team, you have a certain next level of responsibility beyond that of like my decisions impact all of these people who work for me. And then you like get into a relationship and you get engaged and you're looking at getting married and it's like, okay, like shit's getting real, bro.
Yeah, it's like at some point, us marketers have to go from like, living with a roommate for $600 a month and like ramen and like
Yeah.
making a hyper profitable business and we can spend our money whenever we want, to like, we're taking care of a team. We have wives. We have like other people that like our decisions actually make an impact on. Like we got to really think about what we're doing here. Right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, part of my like big picture vision for my life overall is just to be able to use the skills that I've developed to create just an absolutely insane, like next level life for my family where we're not dependent on other people to, to live the way that we want to live.
Yeah, dude.
And that doesn't come from working a 9 to 5. That doesn't come from working an agency where you're profiting $5K a month. Like that takes money and that takes skills, and it takes being the type of man who's worthy of leading that type of business. I know you and I are both Christians. We've got there's a lot of believers in your audience, but like I truly believe that the reason I'm not making $1 million yet is because I'm not the man who like God would entrust with that level of resource. Like God knows that like I would collapse or I would like totally waste it or my life would go down the toilet if I had that kind of money right now. And so the game is then just to live in relationship with him and to build myself up to the point where, kind of like the parable of the talents, right? Where the servant who like did the best job with what he was given was rewarded greatly for it. And so my job is to do exactly that in my life.
That takes a lot of humility, bro. And I think that like a lot of times us internet marketers, it can become so tactically simple to scale that our revenue can outpace our development as a person. Like I'm not worth 5 million a year yet, right? I don't know how to manage a team of 10 people. I don't know how to take care of them. I don't know how to empathize with people and be like, hey, like you couldn't make it to work today because you whatever's like their mom has cancer. Like there's hard things that like I don't know how to do yet. And like, there's things that like, I don't know how to fit $5 million a year into my 7 hours a day schedule so I can still spend time with my wife yet. You know what I mean? So it's like, there's so much that like, it's so easy for our revenue to outpace us as a person. But if you build that foundation of like you, and you not slowly, but sustainably get there, and your revenue and who you are as a person are always at least somewhere in the same vicinity, that's kind of the way you want to build. And it sounds like that's what you're doing. So that's awesome, dude.
Beautifully said.
Beautifully said. Poetry, I might add. Dude, loved having you on, bro. What would you say to someone, last thing, that is in the position you were in, say 6 to 12 months ago, where, you know, they're making money, they have skills. What should they do? Like, what would you advise them to do?
The thing that gets you to a certain level of success is not necessarily the thing that's going to take you to that next level. And this is not like, that wasn't like a profound statement. Like, a lot of people have said that before me, and I like, I had heard this from a lot of people already 6 months ago. But I didn't believe it, and I hadn't had the experiences yet to prove that to me in my own life. So that's what I would tell myself 6 months ago, and myself 6 months ago probably wouldn't listen, and then we'd be right where we are today. But hey, I can't complain.
It's like I talk about like business stuff all the time, like that. Like, maybe I'll say a phrase like, you know, the thing that got me here isn't going to be the thing that gets me there.
Yeah.
And my wife will be like, well, duh, it's obvious. And I'm like, yeah, I also think it's obvious, but you have to go through it in order to realize it yourself. Like, we could be very stubborn people. It's very hard for us to just listen to somebody else, take their word for it, and do it. But we kind of have to make the mistakes on our own, realize, oh crap, he was right, then go back and do it right.
Exactly.
Right way.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's a common psychological concept of like, people need to be reminded more than they need to be told new information. And that's, we need to remind ourselves of this stuff too.
Yeah, dude. All right. Well, I'll wrap it up here, dude. Peter, it's been not only great having you on the pod, but it's also been great to just have you as like a client and a friend. You know, we worked together for I think 16 weeks initially, and now we're working together again for however long, and I'm really excited about it. Hopefully I'll see you at our not the next one, you said you're coming out to the Grease Collective. So
we are going to be making Grease happen. That is for sure. I mean, how could I pass up?
For sure. Dude, yeah, private yacht in Greece. You can't say no. But anyways, dude, great to have you. And yeah, that's it. Boom, done.